Alright, I'm going to do a review on the Ninja 13 3000 tank. And I guess I'm going to do a review on the Ninja Regulator as well. Now, Ninja was making tanks and tank regs for a lot of companies before they broke off and became their own company. If you noticed recently, I think it was the Pure Energy tanks. The Pure Energy tanks have been really going to shit. They've been having a lot of problems. Ninja, or PSI Guru, as they used to be known, was making the reg for them. And since they stopped making the reg, their quality is dropping. But it's Empire, or Key, trying to make their own reg. And it doesn't have the same quality as the Ninja regs do. And they also outsourced them to China. Now the Ninja regs are made in America. The Ninja tanks are made in America. The biggest benefit to that is it's going to have the American quality control instead of like just being in China somewhere and getting mass produced by a bunch of little Indonesian kids and then imported over to California and shipped across the country. The Ninja regs are also adjustable. You remove the two set screws. I'm not sure if it threads off or if you pull it off, I can't remember, but you take off the whole upper part of the reg. And there will be a piston and shims. When you buy the Ninja reg, it comes with extra shims for adjusting the reg. When you adjust the reg, you can adjust the output pressure from 400 to 650 to 850 or 900, depending on what gun you're using. If I set this for low pressure, I can use it on my Angel now. If I took my other tank set for low pressure from when I was using a Victory, I can use that on my Angel. But if I wanted to go back to using my Spider, my Millennium Spider, I have to use a high pressure output tank, meaning I can only use this tank for it, or a CO2 tank, meaning I have to leave this tank as low pressure and then just set it on there. It'll just change the output pressure, which is a really nice ability to do. You don't have to own 3 tanks now, or 2 tanks. The Myth regs, they're a mid-output tank, and they're only about the size of the lower half of the Ninja reg. Then they're threaded up here. They're really small tanks with only 1 burst disc. Now, what does the Ninja reg have over the Myth reg? The Myth reg is slightly lighter, but when I was using the Myth, I always had problems with blowing out macro line fittings, blowing holes in my macro line, overpressuring solenoids. I had a lot of problems using Myth regs. Now, it could have just been a bad reg, but I heard a lot of people have the same problems, where they bought like 3 of them because they were so small, wanted to put them on all their tanks. So they went and put them on all their tanks and did the same thing. My Myth reg was good for about not even a year, probably 9 months, and then it went bad. That was the end of it. I ended up going to USPLDC. I had been planning on getting a Ninja tank for 3 months before that, but I went to USPLDC and bought my first Ninja reg. Because they were there, they gave it to me a little bit cheaper. Bought my Ninja reg, put it on my Gorilla Air bottle because I like the Gorilla Air bottle more than the Ninja bottle, and sold the Myth reg, made all my money back and 15 extra. Now the Myth reg also only has 1 burst disc. The benefit to having 2 burst discs is it's just safer. And sometimes the burst disc will fail to go off. So what if that burst disc failed to go off and your tank explodes because it's too high pressure and it can't handle it and the reg explodes? The tanks are rated to a lot more. This tank is rated to 4,000 PSI, I think. I don't remember if it's 4,000 or higher. It's higher than 3, I know that. But the regs aren't rated for higher than 3. That keeps it at a safe pressure so the tank won't explode. I think the carbon fiber tanks, the 4,500 pound tanks, are rated for 6,000 pounds. I think they're always rated higher than what you actually fill them to. And then there's also problems with your gauge. You know, if your gauge's not reading right, you might think you have less than you actually do, but that happens with every tank. When you buy a Ninja Reg or a Ninja tank, they give you the Magna Cap, which holds an extra O-ring on top. It's full of Ninja Lube, which is a lube I think it's similar to Tri-Flow. It feels a lot like Tri-Flow. It leaves a coating in your ASA, and it makes it easier to screw your tank in and out. But it's also good for getting the tank in straight and getting it out. You don't have to worry about cross-threading as much because there's not as much resistance on the tank threads. Now, here's another thing that a lot of people didn't know. All the bottles are made by two companies. It's Carlton and some other company that I can't remember off the top of my head. But they both make it. They make one. There's two manufacturers making all the tanks. But the regs are made by different people, and most of the regs used to be made by Ninja. So if you have an older tank, it's probably made by Ninja. Now, if Ninja is probably the most popular tank out there right now, because they're all black with a little bit of red. They also make the all red tank with black print. It has the adjustable rag. It's also very light. Now this tank's a little bit heavy. I mean, it's a 13 cubic inch tank. It weighs about as much as a full 12 ounce CO2 tank does. And it's about the same size. Probably the size of a 9 ounce actually. But you gotta remember, air only gains a couple ounces when it's full. But oxygen itself is weightless, so if it's higher oxygen percentage, it'll be lighter than if it's higher nitrogen and other really trace elements in the air. Ninja also offers this other thing that you can get. You can get the Ninja clips, where you put these little washers. They're like half washers. They almost look like C-clips that slide on here, so you can readjust your the position of your fill nipple and your gauge. And it's also safer than the I mean, I'm not really sure if it's safer, but I would trust that a lot more than I would trust the Gorilla Air G2 reg, which is so tiny. They use a dime-sized gauge on it. That's how small it is, because the gauge is almost the size of the reg itself, and it's a swivel. It swivels. I don't trust that thing at all. Now I'll review the 13 cubic inch bottle too. It's really light. It's the bottle itself is about 6 inches. Add the 1 inch for the reg. It's about a 7 inch bottle. It's really good for pump play. It's actually as long as my Gorilla Air 6845 is with the Ninja reg. It's just about the same length. It's a little bit different, but they're generally the same. This is really only good for pump play because you don't get that many shots off it with anything other than a vise and a pump. And just because my vise gets 2,200 shots off one 6845, and it wasn't fully broken in then either. And I had the LPR running up at like 75, and the wall was pretty high too. I can do my vise right now. I can probably do a case and a half. But yeah, it has all the benefits of the Ninja reg. It's good for pump because it's light, it's small. When it's on my Chaos pump, it balances out most of the pumps because they're relatively light, because there's not much to them. You can use the small tank. It's only 13 cubic inches. You can use a tank this small with a pump because you're not going to shoot that much. What else can this do? Gorilla Air makes a really similar tank. They make a 12 or a 13 cubic inch 3000 aluminum tank. I think it's $10 more and $70 if you want the Hitman edition. I would just get the Ninja. Honestly, the weight difference is going to be very small. And if you're playing pump, you usually don't have a solenoid, so you don't have to worry about overpressurizing as much. But this has 2 burst discs, so it's safer than the 1 burst disc on the Myth reg. So overall, I would just say get a Ninja tank. It has more benefits than you'll ever believe, and I can almost guarantee you'll be satisfied with it.